Hey there, welcome back. Today, I would like to share with you some kind of devices and tricks that professional musicians use to take a song that's already well known and make it their own. Sometimes we have songs, they're called standards that everybody in a genre has played. Multiple people have recorded versions of it. So there's a classic country tune called Almost Persuaded. And it was recorded like mid late 60s by, the songwriter wasn't super well known, but it was a great song. So like Tammy Wynette did a cover and Conway Twitty did a version, and it became, a popular like a country kind of standard that if you're going to play country, you need to kind of know this song. It's expected from audiences when you perform country sets. But then Etta James got a hold of it, and she turned it into an R&B soul ballad and just blew the roof off of it. And for my money, that became the definitive version of that song. When I think Almost Persuaded, I think Etta James. When I want to listen to that song, I listen to the Etta James version. I don't listen to the Conway Twitty version because Etta's version just knocked it out of the park. So that's what we're kind of looking at. How do you take a song, it's like, like a cover song, an already established tune, maybe a standard or just a popular song, and make it your own? What are some of the devices we can use to put our voice and our creativity and our artistry onto someone else's piece of music? The first rule we're going to kind of look at in this is that there are no rules. This is art. Music is an auditory art form. Whoever created that song, when they wrote it, was going through a creative process and being an artist and a creative being and putting that piece of music out into the world. Then someone comes along. Let's take, for example, the song I Will Always Love You, written by Dolly Parton, late 60s. Dolly had a hit with it. It wasn't a global massive hit, because the times, and it was country, so it wasn't, super popular, but it was a big hit for her. It's a great song. But then in the 90s, Whitney Houston recorded a version with that big, huge voice and great tone and these just stellar vocal runs. And that became the definitive version. She just like snatched that song from Dolly Parton and made it her own, turned it into this big soul number, and it became a international phenomenon. And young female singers to this day, when they kind of want to prove themselves, they will sing Whitney Houston's version, or they'll try to cop Whitney Houston's version of I Will Always Love You. Well, that's great. You know, if you can get up there and you can do those vocal gymnastics and you can maintain that beautiful sonorous tone like Whitney did, then that's great. But to me, as an audience member and someone who loves music, I'm going to appreciate that for your technical ability, but it's going to leave me wanting more. I'm not really going to be emotionally moved by your artistry or your creativity because you're just doing your best to copy what Whitney did. Just like when people play Stevie Ray Vaughan songs or they play Pink Floyd and they try to, cop David Gilmour solos. And you could play all the notes right and you could get your vibrato close and your hand pressure close and your phrasing close, but you're still just copying what somebody else did out of their artistry and their need to express themselves on the instrument. What I would do, like with a song like, I Would Always Love You, is like I would sing it myself. I have this deep baritone bass, gravelly, you know, smoky, whiskey infused, bluesy voice that you would not expect for a tune like I Will Always Love You, which is historically sung by a woman with a beautiful, sonorous, angelic voice, right? Now, let's say I do. I strip it down, right? I'm not going to sing these big, powerful runs like Whitney Houston, and I'm not going to sing like an angel like Dolly Parton, but I'm going to deliver it the way I sing, and I'm going to deliver it from in here. That puts more emphasis on the lyrics. It takes the emphasis away from the vocal gymnastics and puts it more on the emotional delivery of the lyrics. So now maybe for me, when I'm singing the song and delivering it, it's not I will always love you, a woman singing to a man. Maybe it's I will always love you, me singing to my son. Now it's a father-son thing, but it's still the universal quality of love. And I could tap into that emotion and therefore sing this song. So that's one of the things we could do. Find opposites. If it's sung by a woman, you sing it as a man. If it's a song traditionally sung by a man, like Muddy Waters' Long Distance Call, right? He's out on the road playing gigs. He calls home. Another man answers the phone. And there's this fantastic line in there where the guy on the other end of the phone says, "Another mule is kicking in your stall." And that's how the song ends. And it's just a great country blues, line. Another mule is kicking in your stall. And, but if you want to turn that song on its head, maybe sing it as a like alto or soprano female, right? Instead of that deep barrel-chested Muddy Waters baritone blues sound, you're singing with that kind of Dolly Parton, Alison Krauss, angelic, high, pure voice. But you can still deliver the same message. Maybe instead of it being like an electric 50s blues tune, you turn it into a country ballad, right? You get rid of the electric guitar, you get rid of the electric bass and the drums, and maybe you just have an upright bass, acoustic guitar, maybe a country harmonica player like B. Spears, maybe a fiddle player. Completely change the instrumentation, and now you're delivering that song from your beautiful alto angelic voice, but you're tapping into the emotionality of the lyrics. You're on the road playing your gigs, and you call home to talk to your man, and some other woman answers the phone, and she says, "Sugar, another mule is kicking in your stall," right? So it's all about taking the song and what is expected by the audience and just flipping it on its head, right? Start by just doing a 180. If it's fast, you play it slow. If it's slow, you play it fast. If it's quiet and a ballad, you turn up the tempo and turn up the volume and play it as a Sex Pistols punk rock tune, right? Do what's unexpected. Break the rules. Don't be afraid to step out and just smash genre expectations. Other things you can do that you're in control of. You can, like I said with that example, you could change the instrumentation, right? If you're copying a Allman Brothers tune and they have two drummers, two electric guitars, an organ player, electric bass player, and you want to copy that tune and you're a a country performer, let's just say, so you're gonna do it with a stripped down one drummer, maybe an upright bass player. You're gonna play maybe a electric, maybe a Telecaster. The second guitar, maybe you have a pedal steel, right? And then maybe instead of the organ, you have like an acoustic country piano playing the parts. Same tune, people playing basically the same parts, but you've changed all the instrumentation and completely switched up the genre. There is a fantastic album. If you're a Pink Floyd fan, it's by Luther Wright and the Wrongs. Wright, Wright. I believe he's a Canadian performer. Luther Wright and the Wrongs, Rebuilding the Wall, or Rebuild the Wall, one of those. And it's the entire Pink Floyd album, The Wall, but done in like country bluegrass fashion. And it's just brilliant. They're not trying to be artistic. It's kind of tongue in cheek. It's kind of humorous, but you see how these melodies from Pink Floyd and these like Pink Floyd harmonies work, even though you change the instrumentation and the guy singing has a thick country accent. We've looked at that. Change the tempo, change the genre. If it's male, female, fast, slow, you could change the key. Now that has a huge impact. Some people think that if the song was in B flat and I'm going to play it in C, well, that's all I'm doing is moving it up a whole step. It's just moving it up a whole step, and that's just it. That's all it's doing. No. B flat has a different emotional feeling moving between those chords in that key than the key of C does. C feels different than A flat. A flat is a half step away from G. Play a song in G, play the exact same chord progression in A flat. They feel different. They have different emotional kind of tension and release, pull, feel to them. It's very difficult to explain. You just have to hear it. The lesson I just did on Welcome to Hard Times, that song is in B flat. And then I showed how you could take the chord progression and play it in C. If you listen, it sounds like a very different song. Same exact chord progression, one whole step up on the neck, but it gives it an entirely new vibe, an entirely new flavor by playing it in a different key. Just moving a song down or up a half step can change the way it feels. Maybe make it a little darker, right? Maybe you're not so happy and sunshiny and you want to put a little darker spin on it. You go to a darker key or vice versa. So what I'd like to show you now is an example of what I've done recently. I have a band called Frisco Tank, and we're a super heavy, doomy, bluesy, stoner rock band. And big on grooves and tone and vibrato and feel, and not so much on speed or intensity or anything like that. Well, I am deeply blues inspired. Blues inspired all the music that I love, all the heavy rock and blues rock and the late 60s Cream, Santana, Hendrix, ZZ Top, James Gang. All that stuff comes out of Muddy Waters and Freddie King and Albert King and B.B. King and Albert Collins and Buddy Guy. So while I love the blues as an influence and it shows up in my phrasing and my playing, I am not a blues purist. I live in a city where there are blues jams like 4 or 5 nights a week. And there are guys who are great. There's a couple guys in our town who have like record deals on independent blues labels, and they tour all the time and they host blues open mics. And because our city is halfway between LA and Austin, a lot of people who were professional touring and recording musicians in those towns and even Nashville have moved here to settle down because it's in between Austin and LA, and they can get there quickly to record or do dates or whatever, and they can do regional tours in the Southwest or the West. And so there's ridiculous players in this town where I live. And I would never go to a blues jam and play with those guys because I am not a blues purist. Even though I have had training in a little classical, jazz, funk, R&B, soul, gospel, blues, I've had music education. When I play and when I write music to express myself, it's always heavy. I love, love, love heavy rock. So I don't want to play blues tunes. I don't want to play cover tunes. I want to create my own music. So my band is in that position with young bands, new bands, where you don't have enough original songs to fill out a set. So you need one or two covers to have a complete 30-minute set so you can start opening shows and getting your feet under you playing live as a band and building a reputation in town until you have enough original songs to fill out your set. So I didn't want to do straight cover tunes. It's not my bag, man. So there's a song that I love, and it's an old blues standard called Mean Old World. It's been recorded by lots of different artists. It's the second lesson I did on this channel. I did a standard tuning version of the Eric Clapton, Duane Allman acoustic slide version of this song. So the version they recorded, it's just a standard 1-4-5 blues tune in G. I got the blues. Gonna pack my things and go. I got the blues. Gonna pack my things and go. I guess you don't love me. You love Mr. So and so. Right? So I did not want to do that. I did not want to play a standard blues tune. It's not what I do. It's not going to sound right. It's not going to feel right. I'm not going to be able to pull it off. So here's what I did. I broke the rules, okay? A blues tune is a 1-4-5, all dominant chords. 1, 4, 5. But a minor blues is that same root movement, but it uses the 6th chord, the 3 minor chords from a key. The 6, the 2, and the 3. So you have the same blues pattern, and turn around, but it's minor. Okay, I didn't want to play minor chords. I'm playing rock, so I just wanted to play power chords, root, 5th root. So I'm getting rid of the chord qualities. I'm not going to worry if they're major or minor, but I'm using the minor blues format progression to pull off a descending progression that I'm hearing in my head. When I hear Mean Old World, this is how I hear it with this descending movement. So I was like, how do I get that descending thing into this blues 1-4-5? Make it into a minor blues. I chose to play this song in the key of C instead of G. Okay, right? What can you do? Change keys, right? So I turned it into a minor blues and I changed the keys. This is one way I'm making the song my own. So I start on what would be the 6th chord, the A, the 6th of the key of C, go to the 2 chord, D, But now, instead of just coming back to the one chord like you would in a normal blues, I'm going to descend from that two chord down to the one chord, down to the five chord, and then back up to the six. So I'm adding this descending movement that I'm hearing in my head, and I knew if I turned it into a minor blues, I would get that one and that five down below my progression. So instead of it, being whatever, right? Blues tune, here's what I got. This is my version of Mean Old World. I got the blues. Gonna pack my things and go. I got the blues. Gonna pack my things and go. I guess you don't love me. Gonna pack my things and go. Totally not a blues song anymore, right? That is perfectly good stoner rock song. And I'm doing a couple things to keep it bluesy. I've got the little slides, but instead of, right, I'm just power chording them. And then when it goes up to the chords with their root on the A string, I'm putting the fifth in the bass to keep it heavy. So to the four chord, fifth in the bass, to the five chord, four, so I'm still keeping some of the basic blues pattern so that people who know the song or know blues tunes, they hear it and they know what to expect. That kind of sliding movement going up to the four, right? But then they would expect, and I'm not doing that. And then going up to like the turnaround, very bluesy, exactly what they would expect to hear. Four. So I'm giving them half of what they would expect, some idioms from traditional standard blues, and then I'm giving them the other half is my interpretation. More distortion, more sustain, this descending progression that takes us out of the 1-4-5 and moves us away from a traditional blues far more into, hard rock territory. So that's a way that, I took some basic, fretboard knowledge about minor blues tunes and figured out how I could take a regular standard blues and just deconstruct it. Keep the parts that make it a standard blues that I want, and then add new parts, change parts to turn it into a whole different animal, something that represents who I am, creativity, and artistically. So I hope this lesson was helpful. I hope you get out there, you find some songs you love, and you find some ways to make them your own and own them. And I promise you, the audience, when you go out to an open mic or a gig or whatever, and you play a song for them in a way that they don't expect, they're going to appreciate it. And they're going to respect you. And they're going to want to come see you again. They're going to buy your CD. They're going to buy your t-shirt. They're going to value you as an artist. Because you're not just standing up there playing, Mustang Sally for the 6,000th time. You're bringing them some art. You're bringing them a part of you that you created and you put out into the world. So don't be afraid to take someone else's music. Don't be afraid to take a song that's legendary and that someone has done kind of a be-all, end-all, definitive version, like Stevie Ray Vaughan and Texas Flood. He didn't write that song. That was a standard Texas, blues standard. But he put his stamp on it and was like, Texas Flood, boom, that's my song. And people don't want to tackle it because of what he did. But they're out there. Go check YouTube. There are people, I think Derek Trucks was a pretty mean version, but there's people out there reinterpreting it, right? Don't let Stevie Ray Vaughan have the last word on a great song that you love. I hope this lesson was helpful. I really appreciate you guys coming to my channel. If I can do anything for you, if I can make a video, if I can do a lesson to help you grow as a guitar player or as a musician, you just let me know and I'll get it done. Thanks for stopping by.